Hi, I'm Mike Hughes, and this is video. Today we're going to be going over correcting the high-headed horse. High-headed horses, when you're riding them, they want to carry their heads somewhere up there. So when I get a horse into training that has behavior issues, I always peel back the layers, listen to the horse, and find the root cause of the behavior issue. And Vidya here is a lesson horse. And after evaluating some of the riding lessons that were going on with her, it was very obvious that the students, the riding instructor students, were holding on the reins pretty tightly at the walk, at the trot, at the canter, often at the standstill, and Vidya's head would always be up here somewhere. So since then, all that's been changed, and we always got to remember it can't ever be the horse's fault, because the horses are just trying to do the things we are asking them to do, or they react out of natural instinct. So it can't ever be the horse's fault. It can't be the student's fault, because the student is paying good money to learn how to ride. So I'll just keep going down the list, and with my job is to find out what the root cause is, and I know what the root cause of the behavior is now. So then to go into correcting it, and going into correcting it so this doesn't turn into a revolving door, then I have to start working with some of the riding instructors and showing them what I'm doing, and not to allow those types of things to happen anymore. So going back to video here, we're going to go ahead and get on her today, and I've already had one lesson with her. And in this video clip right here, you can see me, this is my first ride with her, and she's throwing her head in the air, and I just keep the constant pressure on until that head drops back down. And then we go into the canter part, and she's trying to lift her head up in the canter, but I'm asking her to keep her head down. Then this last one, going from the trot to the canter, is a nice transition. She finally gave me a nice canter. And then in this next clip was in here, and that was her third riding lesson, and she did very, very, very well with. So now we're about on our fifth lesson with her, and we're going to keep going into asking her to drop her head, and we'll go into some more of the riding lessons and some things like that, and because we don't want these things to keep occurring. And if we don't fix them, and if we don't lay down some guidelines for riding lessons, and these are going to keep reoccurring. And like I said, when I do get horses in, especially lesson horses, this isn't a revolving door of any kind. I'll fix them, I'll work with the riding instructors, and then it'll be up to them to go by the guidelines and the program. So let's go ahead and bring Vidya out here, and I'm going to go ahead and get on her out here. So Vidya has a few different issues going on. One is she wants to hold her head up really high. And two, she also roots her nose out a little bit when riding her. So when I start working with behavior horses, I always take the worst behavior and I start working with that one first, and I'll work my way down the line if there's multiple issues to the least. Right now, when she roots out, that would be the least. Because all rooting is, it's a horse throwing their nose out or down, saying let go of my head, and that's also caused from riders. Students, people taking riding lessons, holding on to the reins too tight, and it's up to the riding instructor to make sure that doesn't happen by teaching what the reins mean. And here, we had to put some guidelines into place so those things don't happen again. All right, so some things to start with. When we first start working with, let's say, high-headed horses, we need to understand that the horse's head can only go in 6 different directions: left, right, up, down, forward, and back. So I'm looking for one specific direction, and that is down. Not up, but down. So when I'm teaching the horses to bring their heads back down, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take almost all the slack out of the right rein, not quite all the slack out of the right rein. That's rooting right there. I'm not going to worry about that right now because we're more concerned about her having her head way up in there. But I'm going to take almost all the slack out of the right rein so she can't overflex. I don't want to take all the slack out because all the slack would mean for her is to do something. So I want to take almost all the slack out, but not quite. And then I'm going to pick up on this left rein And I'm gonna watch the tip of the ear. As soon as that tip of the ear drops even a quarter of an inch, begin her head goes up. As soon as that head drops even a quarter of an inch right there, then I'll go ahead and release. So she's still, this is my first lesson with her, and she's still wanting to bring her head up. And so we're going to really, really work with that head coming down right there. And I'm going to have to go back and reevaluate some of these lessons some more to make sure that students aren't pulling back on the reins, holding the reins tight, because if they do, then it's just a revolving door, and there is no revolving doors here. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up on the rein, and she is rooting out quite a bit today. That is called rooting. But again, I'm not going to sit here and nitpick the horse. If I sit here and nitpick the horse, I'm only going to cause more behavior issues. Today, I'm only interested in continuing working her with her head being too high at the walk, trot, and canter, and we'll get going with that here in just a moment. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up her rein, and she's going to drop her head. I'm going to take almost all the slack out of the right rein, but not all the slack. I'm going to pick up on the left rein, add a little bit of pressure. As soon as I see the tip of those ears go down, right there, then I'm going to go ahead and release her head and tell her she's a good girl. So you always want to practice this at a standstill before going into the walk. And then she's going to have to know it perfectly going into the walk, and then before going into the trot. And then very, very well at the trot before we start asking her to pick up leads, the left lead or the right lead in the canter. You don't ever want to get in a hurry. If you start getting in a hurry, training or giving a riding lesson, and he goes, I got to get all done, you're going to cause so many behavior issues in the horse. And of course, in the riding lesson, you're going to be skipping all kinds of steps that you don't want to be skipping. Your students are paying really good money, or people, as you, or that take riding lessons, are paying really, really good money to take these riding lessons. And you don't want your riding instructor to be skipping all kinds of steps in the horse's training and giving the riding lesson, because then it'd be kind of like you going to school. It'd be kind of like you going to school and, college, for example, and you pay all this good money to go to college, and you go into the classroom, and the teacher just kind of throws his feet up on the desk, and he kind of talks a little bit here and there, but he's skipping all kinds of steps. You're not going to learn what you wanted to learn. And same thing goes with horses, and we're going to talk more about that in another video coming up later this week. And we'll just go in more detail about that then. But when it comes back to video, so again, I want to teach her how to keep her head low. I know she's rooting her nose out quite a bit today. I'm not going to really worry about the rooting, because I'm only going to concentrate on the more serious problems. And the more serious problem is her holding her head up way too high at a walk, trot, and we'll see how far we get today with her. But it has to be walk, trot. If you can't walk, you can't trot. If you can't trot, you can't canter. It just goes in that order. And for sure, if people don't know what the reins are, what they mean, how to communicate with the horse through the reins, then everything needs to be done on the ground, then under saddle. But then, again, that's another video that we're going to be getting to here later in the week. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start walking around. So the cue is going to remain the same. So I'm going to have her run loose rein, and then as we're going to the left in the circle, I'll go ahead and start asking her to put her head down. Her head wants to come up, and then ask her to put her head down. So we're just going to sit here and practice this for a minute. Yeah, and put your head back down. Yeah. Put your head back down. Yeah, well, there she's getting a little jerky. No, I want her to be quiet with it now. So maybe we'll just get as far as the walk. We'll go further than the standstill, but there we go. Okay, that was more of a quiet one. So what I was waiting for is asking her to keep dropping her head, was to be quiet and not jerk it down, and I just want to do it nice. Nope. So that's just the rooting. Lesson horses do have it tough, because there's so many different people on their back, and everybody gives cues a little bit differently. I don't want her jerking her head down. And everybody gives her cues a little bit differently. Nope. Everybody gives her cues a little bit differently. And so the lesson horses do have it tough, but it's also up to the riding instructor to get on these horses a couple days a week and keep them tuned up and sharp on their cues. So you can see, I mean, she's, you know, just as a lesson horse right now, she's really a mess. And I wish I had more time for her, and I'm going to have to start making more time on her. I'll have to start making a lot more time on her to get her out of these issues. But her, you know, just her bringing her head down is a big accomplishment, as you can see from the video of my first ride with her. Second ride is a lot better, because she's starting to get quieter there now, so I'm going to pet her, tell her she's a good girl. So all we did was reinforce or work with the head down cue, and I wanted it quiet. No, that's not quiet. I just wanted a little bit quieter. And if she brings her head up here, I'm going to pick up the reins and her head goes down. Nope, she's not quite as quiet as I want her to be. And I'm not going to sit here and work on rooting right now. I just want her to be nice and quiet, bring her head down. Nope, that's not quiet. So she's getting to be quite the rooter. So we're going to just keep working on this a little bit. That's why I go down nice and quiet. So when she brings her head down, I also have loose reins on her. She's going to be on the buckle, and unless she runs into the bit. So this was a preview. To watch the full video, join my membership page. Just go to Google, type in my Hughes Horsemanship members page, click on the link and subscribe. On my members page, you got over 280 videos in full with step-by-step, easy to follow methods, and each lesson plan is broken down into steps that the horse can understand in a calm, relaxed manner. We have solving all kinds of behavior issues on my membership page, along with horsemanship, starting to unbroke horse under saddle, solving stall vices, working with rescue horses, rebuilding their confidence and trust, and so much more. We also right now are offering a 3-day free trial, so we hope to see you there. Just go to Google, type in my Hughes Horsemanship members page, click on the link, and subscribe. Again, you do have a 3-day free trial, so you can cancel it during 3 days if the page is for you, and you won't be charged. We hope to see you all there. Hope you're enjoying your horses, and thank you, and we'll be seeing a lot more of Vidya as she makes progress. Thank you.